From LALATE News Headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning on Early Mornings LA with incredible details about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In this recording, we'll go over that monthly stimulus check, how much those Democrats want you to have, and the breaking news. A lot of breaking news you're going to hear for the first time ever on this early morning broadcast. Then we turn to fifth stimulus. That had a lot of breaking news yesterday as Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, spoke out about inflation and where this economy is going, and also stimulus. Wow, incredible news. You're going to hear it for the first time in this early mornings broadcast. Then we turn to the thousands of dollars of money you can get right now. It's a big early mornings broadcast. I'm here, you're here. The excitement's brewing, the coffee's brewing, the toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, and the bacon is darn missing once again. I guess it's another sausage morning. It's LALATE. You made it to the middle of the week. Congratulations. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Here we go. Fourth stimulus heating up. But first, how's the weather where you are? Tell me where you're tuning in from and how is the weather? Yesterday was absolutely perfect here in Santa Monica, California. It's expected to be beautiful today as well. But I know some of you have had heat waves, so hopefully you've been able to stay cool and safe. Jump in the live chat right now and tell me where you're tuning in from. And how's the weather? In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021, we have a lot of breaking news you're going to hear for the first time in this recording, calling the vote. But how is Chuck potentially and likely saving time on calling the vote? I'll be going over these details. Then we go in the second part of this video to go over the breaking details as the editing of the bill is heating up and the voting process as well. Then in the third part of this video, we'll be going over what you should anticipate throughout the rest of this week. We heat up also with this stimulus as Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, has some huge comments that could raise your benefits up a lifetime. And then there's thousands of dollars we're going to get in this video. We got a lot to go over, and it's a big morning. And this is LALATE, the only 24-hour-a-day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America, live in the morning and taped in the afternoon. Next stop is hitting that subscribe button. I don't want you to miss a single video across the board. Subscribe, 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. Next stop, 1 million. Meantime, at the same time that this video is going on, also is overnight's crypto airing. So when this video is over, stay with it. It'll automatically take you to overnight's crypto. Like the video, 3,000 likes. It helps in the algorithm ranking, and it also delivers you some delicious pomegranates. I don't know where I get this stuff from. And consider becoming a member. And no pomegranates for members. Let's get right into that monthly stimulus check. The Democrats from the House, the Democrats from the Senate, both monthly checks, but slightly different approaches to how to pay it out. Let's go over all the details you need to know, starting right now. House bill, pandemic plus 1 year monthly checks. Senate proposal, checks July to December. Okay, let's look at the monthly payouts. The House Progressives versus the Senate Democrats. House, $1,000 a month. Senators, an amount unknown, but word on the street is the Senate Democrats want to pay you this. Wow, now that's delicious. That is savory. $2,000 a month over 6 months, $12,000 an individual. $1,400 a month over 6 months, $8,400 an individual. Wow, that's delicious. But let's go back to something we need to discuss. And the issue is this thing. Yeah, pandemic plus 1 year. Well, the House members may contend the pandemic is over. That would result in 12 checks over 12 months, because there's 12 months in the year, which amounts to $13,000 from the House Jalopal bill. If you're in the live chat right now, get ready to vote House or Senate. House or Senate, which one you like, and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. Here you go. Do you like that, or you like this over 6 months? I think you got an opinion. I have an opinion. Bacon. Vote House or Senate and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. Who gets this fourth stimulus check? The Democrats want everyone who got a third stimulus check to get a fourth stimulus check. Wow. Single individual, $75,000 or less. Democrats want you to have a forced stimulus check. Married couple, 150,000 or less. Democrats want you to have a forced stimulus check. Double it. If you are a family of 4, Democrats want you to have a forced stimulus check. Quadruple it. And if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, Democrats want you to have a forced stimulus check as well. The forced stimulus check is not income, so it's not taxable. But the fourth stimulus check is a monthly check. It's not a waivable check. It does not come in waves and can't wave at you. So if you see the if you see the check at the hair salon and it's getting its hair done, say, "Hey, check, is that the Nancy special?" And the check doesn't wave back at you. It's not because your joke was not funny. It's because they can't wave at you. It's not a waivable check. I think it is the Nancy special. It looks awful on you. Darn rude check. There you go. The forced stimulus check is not waivable, but the forced stimulus check would come from the Democrats in the month of July, for the month of July. In the month of August, for the month of August, it would not be included with a hairstylist or a coupon to Supercuts. No, it's not included with that. The forced stimulus check would be called for a final vote by the month of July 4th. And there you go. That is the first of your 3 parts of your forced stimulus check update of this early morning's broadcast. In the second part, we'll be going over the breaking news. A lot of breaking news happening across the board today and late yesterday. You're going to be surprised about these details. But first, let's get to the preview of the second half of this video. Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, spoke late yesterday, and he had a lot to say. He said inflation will be hot later this year, and he also had incredible progress and prognosis and predictions and analysis for what he thinks is going to happen in December, which is when they apply that benchmark to raise your benefits up a lifetime. It's exciting. And it's the second half of this video. It's fifth stimulus with a fifth stimulus check. Stay with me. That's coming up later in this video. But boy, let's get some money. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. It's day to get money. And that's what I do on this channel. I get viewers money. In spring of last year, people were being ravaged by the pandemic and they were losing their homes and everything. And I stepped in and got them EIDL loans, saved their homes, their businesses, and their employees' homes. But in fall 2020, we didn't see second stimulus going out and we were worried. So I stepped in, I got people rent and utilities to save them through the holidays. We're doing it again right now. So get a pen and paper ready. And if it must be Crayola Crown, choose the right color. Staying with me to the very end of this video, I got a lot of money to get for you, and starting first with that rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and also homeowners utilities. It's a fortune. Rent is about $5,000, about 4 to 6 months of rent. Wow. So you're going to I'm going to show you the places you're going to reach out to for the money, but each has different eligibility. So if one says no, don't worry. The next one will say yes. All right, you ready? You're going to reach out to City Hall, City Housing Authority, State Hall, State Housing Authority, County Hall, County Housing Authority. Keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID or mortgage assistance because of COVID. You don't use words that no one knows, like a stimulus or fashionable Nancy. They don't know those words. Fashionable Nancy in what decade? It's one of those mornings. So don't say words they don't know or words that they'll probably click off the phone on. You're just going to turn it down. So there you go. Congratulations to Tim and Linda who got this big money, and it's your opportunity to get that big money as well and not be fashionable Nancy. But in this next spot of money, boy, people are killing it. One viewer got $5,000 last week. The week before, a viewer got $6,000 or $7,000. Lynn Glenn got it for her son, her mom, and herself. Gail got it. If you've gotten anything from this channel, jump on the live chat right now and say what you got, because it inspires me. It inspires other people and it inspires people to get money, because we're not sitting around looking for a check to land. We're cashing these big, massive checks of $5,000, $6,000. And what is this? SNAP. It's one of the big success stories of this channel. SNAP is money for food from Department of Agriculture, so reach out to Department of Agriculture to get it. How much does it pay? A lot. A family of 4 in Hawaii now gets upwards of $16,000 a year. Wow. Why so much money? Because of 2 wonderful executive orders, one from Biden, one from Trump, that raise your benefits up 15% between now and December for everyone nationally. So go get it. There you go. But boy, we're killing it. You're killing it. We're only 9 minutes of this video, and we're getting $16,000 for SNAP for a family of 4 in Hawaii, $5,000 for rent approximately, and we're getting a new hairstyle. We're almost killing it. But I got more money for you, and it's $5,000 coming from the federal government. Actually from the states via the federal government. What is this? The states had overpaid you unemployment assistance, and then the federal government noticed it and said they overpaid citizens because of computer errors. Not your computer. Your computer is totally fine, thank you. It's the state's darn computer. So the federal government said it was not the citizens' fault the state's computers didn't work. They should be entitled to have the money. So the federal government has ordered the states to return the money back to you. Wow, that's wonderful news. So how much you're getting? One of you got $5,000 for this. Where are you getting it? To the account you have on file with the unemployment department. And when are you getting it? Reach out to your respective state and ask them where's that check, because of the computer error, that's your check to have. And ask them when tracking the check to use a different darn computer that actually works. There you go. And finally, the last spot on the money, which is wonderful, is the IRS refund checks. Viewers continually ask, has anyone gotten it? So yeah, Margaret got it, Cod got it, Michael got it. Other viewers, maybe about a dozen have gotten it. But if you got it, jump in the live chat, because every time that viewers help each other with this information, it helps one another. That's the spirit of the Purple Power. So how much, when, and where, and how to track it, let's go over all the details. First, how much is it? It's a lot. So let's say you had $9,000 of total unemployment benefits. You paid $5,000, of which $4,000 was your taxes on just the unemployment portion. You're getting back $4,000. Where? Direct deposit if that was signed up on your tax return. Otherwise, in the mail. When? This month. And can you track it? Yeah, about 70% of the time you can track it. Go to irs.gov, set up a username and password, put your social security number in, and do a transcript search. 70% of the time, you'll just be shocked how much information it reveals about things you just didn't know about. Like it'll reveal when you filed the tax return, when you paid the taxes. It'll reveal my favorite gelato. It will reveal the recipe for Nancy's $12 ice cream. And then it will reveal the tax return you're getting. There you go. Is there anything more wonderful than that? There is. And it's the second of your 4th stimulus check updates of this video. And it's starting right now. Bernie Sanders on Sunday said, you know what? I'm anxious to look at the bill. And that is a very important thing for you to understand. I had a great question from a viewer on Facebook who's sort of very laser focused on the Senate section, Senate part of this whole analysis, and asked a very great question. So let me go start with that question right off the bat. The viewer said, well, if we have a House bill and we have a Senate proposal, why would we care about the Senate proposal? The viewer also asked, when are we going to see what the senators want to do? It's a great question. When they're doing 4th stimulus package, it's a package. So packages have lots of mini bills in there. And they could put the House bill completely in there, or they could put part of the House bill, or they could put the Senate proposal. And they don't have to wait to the vote-a-rama to put Senate ideas or proposals into the bill, the 4th stimulus package bill. Why is that the case? Let me explain for the first time on Early Mornings LA. There's a lot of different ways to do a recon, but the way Chuck did the 3rd stimulus recon, 3rd stimulus package recon, is likely the way he's doing the 4th one right now. Just when you look at it, it just looks the same. When you do a bill, normally it starts in subcommittees of the House, then finishes on the House floor, then goes to Senate subcommittees and goes to the Senate floor. Chuck is eliminating the Senate subcommittees part of the analysis. What is he doing? While the House is currently marking up the bill in subcommittees, Chuck is likely doing what he did last time, which is the Senate subcommittees are marking it up with the House subcommittees at the same time. He did that last time, he's likely doing it again. Why is that great news? 2 reasons, actually 3 reasons. 1, saves a lot of time because you have the Senate and House subcommittees doing it together. You don't have to you don't have to repeat the process. You're doing it one time and one time only. Number 2, it combines a lot of narratives, and there's progressives in the House and progressives in the Senate that have similar ideas, and it helps flush them out together. Number 3, it helps with Purple Power push because you have one group that are hearing everything rather than having to deal with that one and that one. But number 4, Chuck explained, this was his words, in spring of this year when he did 3rd stimulus, that one of the benefits to it, in addition to saving time, was to prevent ambush. Because if things go to a Senate subcommittee, the GOP could kill it in the Senate subcommittees and leave it there. So that is likely what's going on. So yeah, you could always see changes on the final 2 days of the vote-a-rama in the Senate, but the subcommittees are working hand in hand. So it's a great set of questions. All right, let's go right now into what, and so Bernie said, I'm waiting to see the bill. Well, when I refer to bill, I'm referring to drafts of the bill. But this is what AOC always talked about last in 2020. I talked about her comments as well, that legislators, senators, House members often don't see the bill that they're voting on until 40, just hours before. And that's often the case. So we're very much in flux. Well, the president has made very clear the voting process is this week. The voting process is started and will be done by July 4th. The reconciliation process has been underway for several days. And what's really new for this early morning's broadcast is that another bill, which has nothing to do with this channel, the Voting Rights Bill of the Democrats, is dying. It's dying in the Senate because, one, it's not a recon, and two, the GOP blocked it because it's not a recon, which is giving us great news because, one, now there's more time to just focus on this now that that's quickly dying. And two, it's igniting the Democrat caucus to push this finally through the finality of recon because they got ambushed, blockade by the GOP on the voting rights bill. So it's giving them a lot of a lift under their feet. All right, so well, what was Jalapal's thoughts on going into today? Her thoughts were manifest on Friday when she explained the following, which is very, very important. As she said that the White House has not in any way told me to not do what I'm doing. And then Senator Brian Schwartz, who's also a progressive, said the White House has repeatedly reassured him that the White House considers the progressive policies the White House's progressive policies, and that the White House has not asked progressives to stop doing what they're doing. What do those double negatives mean? Let me explain to you. The president is not the legislator. The president is the president. Legislators draft bills. But presidents propose what they want in there. And presidents can also make very clear, as this president has done, if there's certain provisions that are line in the sands, that if they're not in there, they will veto. His line in the sands are, one, climate, a progressive policy. He has to have it in there. Two, the CARES economy, a progressive policy, refers to medical issues. He has to have it in there. Here's where the great news unfolds. Jalapal and the progressives have said, yes, Mr. President, I see you want those two items in there, progressive policies. We are putting them in there. We got your back. They're going to the finish line. To which the president is a happy camper saying, thank you, progressives, for taking care of me. And I will have your back on your progressive policies. You're putting in there as well. And the progressives represent, they're putting in the monthly stimulus checks. It's back, patting back all the way to the finish line. Wonderful news. Well, how did we get to this spot? That was so wonderful. It started the Friday before Memorial Day weekend, when Lena Schumer announced, hey, we're underway for recon. We've been underway. We're going to finish by July 4th, and by July 4th, we'll also have an approval. Well, how do we get to that wonderful spot? With Jalapal. Jalapal had written a letter to Schumer, which said, call the vote, Chuck. But it was also co-signed by 12 House Democrats, who are among the 100-plus House Democrats who had written the president a letter weeks earlier that said, we're going to be putting monthly stimulus checks in that forced stimulus package, Mr. President. Wow, that's wonderful news. Can we top that? We can't top that. When 7 House Democrats wrote the president a letter directly and said, Mr. President, when we go to write the stimulus checks, we're going to be making them monthly under the forced stimulus package. Who are these people to say that? What do they do that they say they write stimulus checks? They're in the House subcommittee that's solely responsible for writing stimulus checks. They wrote your first stimulus check. They wrote your second stimulus check. They wrote your third stimulus check, and they currently indicate they're marking up the bill right now. And they also represent they're putting in their monthly stimulus checks. Wow, that's wonderful news. That is really wonderful news. But are they doing a fifth stimulus check? They say they are, and that's coming up later in this video. Boy, can we top that? We can, as the President of the United States has now anchored forced stimulus to the edge of the finish line by doing an international agreement that makes it easier to pass forced stimulus because of an international corporate tax rate agreement. Let me explain what's going on. Forced stimulus is paid for by raising the U.S. corporate tax rate, which the President said he was worried to do because if you raise the corporate tax rate, corporations may leave the U.S. and go overseas where the tax rate may be lower in another country. Well, he reached out to those other countries and said, raise the rate? Yeah, we will. And they tentatively said yes. To which the president said, you know, I like these countries. In December, let's deliver them some of those caramel popcorn that Jill likes, and then let's get them signed on the dotted line right before the holidays. Well, that was what initially the president said, and he was going to remove the provisions from forced stimulus later on, but then he surprised everyone. Biden did it 2 weekends ago on Saturday. He went overseas before forced stimulus was passed and got those countries to pass the reform now, anchoring fourth stimulus to the finish line. Because now he has an international agreement with those countries to raise the global minimum corporate tax rate so that those rates and issues about international taxes are covered in the international agreement. He does not need those provisions in the fourth stimulus package, making it easier for the Democrats to pass fourth stimulus. Wow, that is wonderful, wonderful news. Can we top that? Yes, with a third of your fourth stimulus check update of 2021 coming up after this commercial break. And big exciting details about fifth stimulus and that fifth stimulus check and your benefits lift. But first, something else more wonderful. The volunteers. The volunteers embody the true Purple Power spirit. Viewers helping viewers. If you want to find the volunteers, how do you find them? On the community page. Go to the description of this video, open the description, and then go down to the emojis. You'll see an emoji for house, and it'll say community page. Click the link, and it sends you over to the volunteers. They're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. They're on the community page below a picture of some kitty cats. Reach out to them. They'll help you with rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, SNAP, homeowners utilities. They cannot take you to the circus and see the camels. They cannot mow your lawn. They cannot take you to Nancy's ice cream shop, but they can do the other things that I covered in this video. Here's a little bit about the volunteers, and I'll be back in 60 seconds with exciting details of the fourth stimulus still unfolding, new details you can see for the first time on Early Mornings LA, and big details about fifth stimulus right after this commercial break. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues on Early Mornings at LA right now from Santa Monica, California. I hope you're having a beautiful Wednesday Early Mornings broadcast. How are you? If you're just joining the live chat right now, tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather? I hope you have great weather today. But also subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record in 1 year. Next stop, 1 million. I want you to subscribe. Thank you for making 2 days ago our fastest subscriber growth in 1 day in several weeks. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Right after this video, stay with it. 7 seconds after the video is over, it'll take you to Overnight's Crypto, our massive runaway hit show new on this channel. And join this channel as it expands into stock coverage in the next few days. All right, let's turn to fifth stimulus. A lot of breaking news. Number one, fifth stimulus check? Yes. There will be a fifth stimulus check in the fifth stimulus package the Democrats represent. When? January 2022. When would the vote be? About November, December. When would they start marking up the language? September to October. Number two, the president has dedicated $1 billion to Social Security Administration to ensure you get checks on time going forward. Great news. As viewers have been very upset about how slow it was to get those third stimulus checks earlier this year. He's ramping up $1 billion to infrastructure, staffing, and computer systems to ensure you get fourth stimulus checks, fifth stimulus checks, and monthly stimulus checks on time going forward. Number three, Fed Chair Jake Powell back on Capitol Hill yesterday, talking with an enormous amount of wonderful, insightful information. Too much to cover in a 30-minute video, but let me tell you basically what he said. For the first time, he really admitted that inflation will be hot, meaning it's up, later this year. But here is where it got wonderful news for fifth stimulus. Remember, fifth stimulus raises your benefits up lifetime and then applies a benchmark in November, December. And that new benchmark is inflation. Well, here's what he said about November, December. He said that by the end of the year, around December, you're going to see everything on fire. Yeah, just breathe. This is wonderful news. He said the GDP number will be absolutely through the roof. The growth number will be astronomical, the highest you've seen in a generation. The labor situation will be wonderful. People will be back to work. Jobs and businesses will be very good and will be really at our highest point of inflation. Oh my goodness, that's incredible. So that almost validates everything we've been talking about for purposes of figuring out how that step up of inflation will help your benefits. The only thing he doesn't tell us is the inflation rate. So let's go over how this works on the benefits. First, they'll raise the benefits limits up. Then they'll remove the asset limit and the inflationary benchmark, remove the income exclusion, remove the marriage penalty. All right, let me go over what this means. We understand a lot of these provisions so far because we've been covering them for a few weeks on this channel. First, they're going to raise your benefits up one time under fifth stimulus. This is you if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, survivor benefits, and multiple benefits. Then they'll apply the benchmark. You understand that. And you understand they apply to November, December for next year's benefits. You understand that as well. And you understand it's inflation. And you understand inflation's going up. Well, now Jay Powell is basically saying that high point is about when they apply the benchmark. I keep on saying that we have to hope for three things. One, hope that they pass this because this is a wonderful bill. Two, that the inflation hits that spike as it's going up right around November, December, which is what Jay Powell's basically saying now. And three, that the inflation rate is as high as we think it is. That was the only thing that remains the uncertainty still. And it may remain the uncertainty all the way until we see this fall coming around the corner. So let's say we're at 4% now, we're heading to 10%. Let's say it is 10%. This is what would happen. Your benefits would step up, not just 10% next year, but lifetime. Because once your benefits step up, they never step down. This is why this is huge, wonderful news, and that's on top of the one-time lift under fifth stimulus. Wow. Then they're going to move the asset cap dating back to 1980's law that says you can't have more than $3,000 in hand. Now you'll be able to hold some stimulus checks in your hand and some tacos. They're going to remove the income cap dating back to 1960's law that says you cannot work and also stay on benefits. Now you'll be able to work if you wish. And finally, you'll be able to get married and no longer fear the marriage penalty. Love is going to win, and you will be able to marry your longtime love interest. Viewers like Sandy and Rob will be able to marry and no longer fear the marriage penalty. And there you go. That is fifth stimulus. But boy, if you are new to this channel, what this channel does is get people money. And I want you to get this money. Third stimulus, as you saw in this video, viewers are getting $5,000, $6,000, $15,000. There's a lot of money under third stimulus, much more than a $14 stimulus check. So you owe it to yourself to get this money. How do you learn about the money? By becoming a member. The link's at the top of the chat in the pinned comments. Daily, I deliver to you from the YouTube community page a breakdown of everything that's in third stimulus so you can get this money. Most of it is application-based. Fourth stimulus, so you can be ready to pounce and get it when it becomes law. And fifth stimulus as well. Consider becoming a member to get that information delivered to you daily so you're pounced and ready to get it. All right, let's cut to the big third and final update, your fourth stimulus check of 2021, starting right now. So many breaking details. So let's understand where we are going into Wednesday. The president said he wanted the voting to start this week, and people are wondering, how does the voting go? How do they do the changes? There's a lot of ways to do the voting. What's important to understand is that it looks like the Chuck is doing the voting process the way he did third stimulus, which is do all the drafting together, all the marking up in the subcommittee of House and Senate subcommittees working together, and then just vote it all together. You can do multiple voting steps in one day, but you need a certain amount of time for the vote-a-rama. The next thing to know is that there can be changes down to the final minutes. But the big moments of changes are happening now, and then when the House subcommittee calls it for a vote, and then also when the two-day vote-a-rama happens. So things are still potential to get modified at any second. Third, it's important to note that I believe that when you look at the totality of the situation, you're now looking at all of fourth stimulus getting done, or or all of forced stimulus facing a time deadline. So I don't think you're looking at it, if you look at it the way I look at it, I don't look at it as is stimulus checks in there, not. There's some comments where people say, do you think there's going to be stimulus checks in the forced stimulus package? I think that's not really the question at this point. I think the question is, do you think there's a forced stimulus package? Because they got to get that whole monolith to the finish line. They got to get this monolith to the finish line, and the finish line is coming up. So I don't want you to think about, do you think they're going to include this? I think you have to think they got to get this whole monolith to the finish line. So let's go over that finish line and the steps so you understand them. And I'm going to go over those right now with you. 9 steps. The first 4, the most unimportant. The 5th, important. And the 7th and 8th, very important. All right, step 1. The House subcommittee calls a vote on the procedural bill. Step 2, the House floor votes on the procedural bill. Step 3, the Senate votes on the procedural bill. Step 4, the President signs the procedural bill into law. Very easy breezy. You saw that's very unimportant, but easy breezy. At that point, the tow truck is passed over the finish line. All right, now time to do the substantive bill. Step 5, the House subcommittee, which has been marking up the bill with the insight of the Senate House committee and potentially putting monthly stimulus checks in there, calls it for a vote finally after finishing up marking in the House subcommittee, the substantive bill. And they pass whatever they pass. There may be stimulus checks in there. There may not be. Step 6, the House floor votes on the substantive bill. Step 7 and 8, here we go. Critical step. Today, vote-a-rama, Senate, where the senators finally receive the bill. There's actually the bill at that point. We're not talking about a draft of the bill. It's actually the bill, the forced stimulus package bill. And they can do 3 possible likely things as they have the opportunity to amend. Possibility number 1, there's no stimulus checks in there from the House. The senators can amend and add it in there. Possibility number 2, there are stimulus checks in there from the House. The senators can leave them alone if they like it. And possibility number 3, there's stimulus checks in there and the senators still amend. Step 9, the president signs into law. Now, if they do amend at the Senate level, it does go back to the House just quickly. Now, it's important to note that when you looked at second stimulus, when you looked at first stimulus, and when you looked at third stimulus, these people leave things down to the very last minute. I don't like that. No one likes things left down to the last second, but it will literally be a sprint to the finish. It looks like it's becoming a sprint to the finish. And so I want you to be prepared for that as well. Now, false narratives. False narratives are just sort of formulating everywhere and every how. The false narratives have nothing to do with the passage of forced stimulus, but has everything to do with confusing the public about what forced stimulus is and how it gets passed. Understand, if you're watching these videos, legislation is confusing to get from point A to point B. Just a normal bill is confusing to explain. Then explain a recon is confusing to explain, a reconciliation. And then trying to explain a reconciliation that you think it's something else, but it's really this, is also confusing to explain. But if you've been with me for a while, you've gotten used to this. For example, second stimulus in fall 2020 was a continuing resolution budget bill to fund the budget, to fund the government, to run the government, the U.S. government. So what did they put in a bill to fund and run the government? Stimulus checks for the American people. That's not the budget running the government. And so no one who had thought that stimulus checks belong in a bill to run the government, I came up with the idea. I got it pushed in there with the purple power, and it became the second stimulus check. Guess what also was in that budget bill? Money for foreign countries. I did not put that in there. Money for foreign countries. Money for foreign countries doesn't belong in a bill that concerns how we're running our government, but that's what these legislators do. And it's confusing to look at it unless you're used to seeing that, how they title things wrong, confusingly. The title of these bills are often confusing because you look at it, it's like, why is there foreign money in a budget bill for the U.S. government? Yeah, it's just confusing. The jobs bill, the third stimulus package, it was called the jobs bill, and there were stimulus checks in there for people who don't have jobs, for people who don't want to work, and just don't work. So there's stimulus checks for people who don't work. This bill, infrastructure, they say there's stimulus checks, and there will be stimulus checks in there, and yet. And that it's all, what is also in there? Climate. Climate's not infrastructure. Climate is, the air. Then the fall. Fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus is the family, the American Family Plan. Guess what else is in the American Family Plan? Single money. Single people's money. Yeah, stuff for single people relief. So it's just, they title things strange. And if that was not strange enough, then came the peanut gallery. And the peanut gallery is likely to continue with roasting peanuts all the way down to the final day. Who are these people? They're people that like to talk. And 2 days ago, they really made fools of themselves. Because what did they say? They said, we may be getting somewhere very close. When? We're just a few days away, folks. When are you going to get to something? In November? So then a press reporter actually asked a really good question. So have you figured out how to pay for the bill? Oh, no, we haven't started talking about that. Excuse me? It's just like foolishness. It's just like, excuse me, that's the hardest part of the bill is how to pay for the forced stimulus. Corporate taxes, not corporate taxes, energy, gas. You haven't even talked about that? Don't be bragging about anything you haven't done or not done because you haven't done the hardest part of the bill, which is how to pay for it. So that's what the peanut gallery is. They're roasting peanuts, and they need some raisinets to go with that because it's becoming like a bad movie to watch. And so there you go. They have nothing to do with the passage of your forced stimulus, but they will absolutely be confusing the news coverage all the way to the finish line. And then finally, Purple Power Push. Keep on pushing. You're doing a great job. Hashtag MSC, hashtag Purple Power. Go on social media and tweet your elected officials, Democrats and senators, House and senators, also progressives in the caucuses as well. And the caucus leaders don't miss anything across the board. It's important to push down to the final minute because as you saw in this recording, there is a lot of time to make modifications at that step 5, that step 7, and that step 8, and make changes right now as well. Stay with this video. In 7 seconds after this video is over, it'll take you into overnight crypto automatically. You don't have to do anything. Don't have to touch anything. But first, touch that subscribe button. And subscribe. Fastest growing channel there is. 400,000 subscribers in 1 year. Next stop, 1 million. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video, 3,000 likes. And consider becoming a member to get delivered to you daily everything that's in third, fourth, and fifth stimulus. Stay informed, stay focused. I'll see you next on Overnight's Crypto and then back live on air at 9 a.m. with Mornings LA. Have a beautiful morning.